yes, this doesn't directly answer your question. So now coming to your question. Okay, so first of all, you need to understand what problem we are solving. The problem that we are solving is, let's say we have a function of the type y equal to f of x colon theta. Okay, where y are what is known as output or dependent variables. This we can call as independent or input variables. And this is parameters. Okay. Now, what is the typical way of evaluating a function, or is given x, you just substitute the value of x into f, given x and theta, you substitute the value of x, you just get the left hand side, which is y. That is one way of solving. What did we do in week number 5? In week number 5, we said that y is given to us and x is not known, or y was 0 and we wanted to find f of x equal to 0. Okay, that was the other type of problems that we solved. In week number 6, the problems that we are going to solve is we have y, we have x, but we don't know theta. A similar problem you have already solved in week number 3, and that problem was dt by dt is negative beta multiplied by t minus 4. This was the problem that you had already solved. You solved it in a different way, in an indirect way that you solved it. But essentially, this was a problem of y equal to minus beta multiplied by x minus 4, or we can write this as a0 plus a1x. You can even say it in this type of a form. Okay, and the question over there was to find a0 and a1. You can reformulate the problem in this particular form. Okay, so the type of problems that we have looked at is, for example, you have y equal to a0 plus a1x, or plus a2u plus a3w. Okay, it really doesn't matter. This is an example of linear curve fitting. Okay, the requirement is that x, u, and w should be linearly independent. Okay, so x, u, and w, you can very well replace it with t squared, t cubed. You can replace it with t log of t, 1 by t. All of those are possible, and it still retains the linear regression part of the problem. Okay, so our theta, actually I have used phi, maybe sorry about that mistake. I will just replace this with phi because that's what I have used in the videos. Phi is nothing but a0, a1, a2, a3. Okay, so this is what we are looking at. So the question is, given the data for y is in, let's say, y data for x is in x data, and given the form of function f of x comma theta, not theta, f of x comma phi. Can you find the best fit values of phi? Okay, LSQ curve fit is least square curve fitting. LSQ non-lin is least square non-linear regression. So that is what this is. Now, if you look at MATLAB help, if you go and look for MATLAB help, okay, what you will find in MATLAB help is you can just go and click on help LSQ curve fit. Okay, And what you will find is LSQ curve fit is requires you to provide X data and Y data, and it doesn't matter, what you call as variable X, what you call as variable Y, whether you call it as X, Y, U, and all that. X data is the independent variable. Y data is the output variable. Y data will always be one vector. X data can be a matrix if there are multiple variables X, U, etc., etc. Okay, that's the idea. So the first input argument is the function. The second input argument is phi. The third input argument is X data. The fourth input argument is Y data. Okay, so that is what it is. So I'm not sure what you meant by right. I copied it blindly, and I don't know what it is, but that is okay. Is there no voice? I don't know. Okay, my mic seems to be on. I'm not sure if people. Akshay, am I audible? Okay, now audible. From what point were you able to hear? So should I repeat? Udita, Abhishek, if you are here, Udita, or anyone, do you want me to repeat or the entire thing, or Ayush? Okay, sorry, I have no idea how much you could hear or not. Couple of minutes only it was not audible. After that it was audible. Okay, thank you. Okay. So let me go over this again. So you have, when I say X data, this means data for the independent variable. When I say Y data, I mean data for the output variable. Phi is the parameters. Unfortunately, if you go to help of LSQ non-len, for LSQ not LSQ non-len, for LSQ curve fit, if you go to the help for LSQ curve fit, unfortunately it has used the variable X data to represent the independent variable, and instead of calling it phi, they have used the parameter as X. Okay, so don't get confused. X, phi, X data, Y data, they are all dummy variables, right? You have to know whether it is this, whether it is this, or whether it is this. Okay, so X naught and X is the result of LSQ curve fit or LSQ non-len. The result of LSQ curve fit or LSQ non-len is phi. The initial guess of LSQ curve fit or LSQ non-len is phi naught. The data for independent variable is X data. The data for output variable is Y data. So long as you keep this distinction clear, you will be able to solve any problem in regression. Okay, hopefully that answers this particular question. When we are passing function like at X, okay. The question is, let's say if we are saying at X, f of X, comma, Y, comma, Z. What does this mean? What this means is X is a variable which is the first argument in that function, and Y and Z are held constant. Okay, so if if let's say you have a function f of x comma y comma z, which is y sine x plus z square, just any arbitrary function I'm taking. Okay, so let's say we wanted f of x is equal to 2 sine x plus 16. Okay, I'm going to represent this as at x f of x comma 2 comma 4. Okay, so 2 gets replaced, y gets replaced by 2, and z gets replaced by 4. Okay, let's say I wanted this to be a function in 2 variables. If I wanted this to be a function of k comma k, okay, I'm just using anything that is arbitrary. Okay, I wanted this as k squared plus sine k. Okay, I'm going to call this as k f. Now this is k squared, right? Where does k come? What is squared over here? Z. Okay, so I'll put this as k. Okay, what's k over here? It's the first argument. I'll put k over there. Okay, what is this being multiplied by? It's being multiplied by 1. I will put 1 over here. Okay, this is what it would be. Okay, and of course replace this with something else. Let's say p comma q. Right, so this becomes p and this becomes q. That's all. Okay, again they're all dummy. Okay, I have not put it as pq and pq over here because I just wanted to impress upon you that this and this, you know, need not have one-to-one correspondence. What it needs to have is this guy is going to replace the first argument, this guy is going to replace the second argument. Okay, so p will come over here, q will come over here, 1 will come over here. So it's 1 multiplied by sine q plus p squared. 1 multiplied by sine q plus p squared. That is how the functions work. Okay, hopefully that is completely clear to all of you. If not, just stick to, you know, the things that I talked about when it came to this particular definition itself, which is other two values held constant. Regarding final exam, will questions be MCQ? That's question from Keshav. Keshav, we have uploaded the exam pattern. I don't remember it exactly correctly off the top of my head, but there would be maybe 5 recall type MCQ questions with single correct answers, 5 recall type MCQ questions with more than one correct answer. There will be, assignment type MCQ questions, maybe 5 MCQ questions. There are 5 match the following questions. There are 10 objective types numeric questions. There are 3 or 4 find error questions. There are 5 or so, write a single line of code questions. So I would have given a code and I would ask you to replace it with single line of code. So for example, I would have given, let's say, x equal to 1, 5, 7, minus 2, 3. Okay, for I equal to 1 to length x, s equal to s plus xi, and s equal to 0. Can you replace this with single line of code? What will that single line of code be? S equal to sum x. So this will be your answer. Question is, can you replace this with single line of code? And what I've written on the left hand side is the answer. So this is the example of single line of code type of a problems. I think there are 4 or 5 or 6 problems like this. There are a few problems on find the error. There are match the following problems. There are numerical problems. There are MCQs. There are MSQs. Okay, so it is not MCQ only. Okay, when we write a script and some error shows up, still all values get calculated and visible in this. Why is it so? Okay, so MATLAB is an interpreted language. Okay, it's not like a C. It's not like C, which is a compiled language. So let's say we have A equal to 5, B equal to 4, C equal to 1, 2, D equal to A plus B, E equal to B to the power C. Okay, this will make A take value 5, B take value 5, C will take value, C will become a column vector, D will get, D over here will get calculated as a value of 5 plus 4, which is 9. So D will hold a value of 9. When it comes over here, this is 4 to the power of 1, 2, which will give an error. Okay, so at this point, you will get an error. Okay, but MATLAB would have calculated everything up to this point. So you will have a value of A, you will have a value of B, you will have a value of C, you will have a value of D. Fifth line is where it stopped execution and it does not have a value. Okay, that is how MATLAB works because it's an interpreted language. If this was C, C will not get compiled because of an error. Okay, now if you instead had B dot colon C, that means it is 4 dot to the power of 1, 2, which means element by element, which is nothing but 4 to the power of 1, 4 to the power of 2, which is nothing but 4, 16. This is how dot works, dot colon works, dot caret works. Caret will give an error. Okay, this one won't give an error. So let's make it correct. Okay, so this will give you an error and it will execute the first 4 lines. One of the problems that I might ask, for example, I will give a code like this and I will ask you spot an error. And in this particular case, error will be on line number 5. Or I will ask you what is the error message that MATLAB gives. So you will be able to, you will have to find out, figure out what is the error message that MATLAB gave you when you're trying to write your own codes. Okay, that's the find the error type of problems. While running F0 and Fsolve, error in line 14 of F0. Okay, so when you run the code, and again you can go back to the videos that I have posted. The question was when I run F0, the error comes error in line 14 of F0. Why is there an error? Okay, the error is not because there is a mistake in F0. The error comes because there is an error in which in the function that you have written in the way F0 wants it. Okay, so the error will never be a single thing. There will always be any error. It has a full trace. Okay, so let us say that you are calling F0. Okay, in my script hw5 prop1.m, this is calling f0.m. f0.m is calling a function myfun.m. Okay, let's say fourth line of myfun.m was something like 2 to the power 1:3, because of which you got an error. Okay, what will MATLAB say? MATLAB will say error on line 4 of my fun. Then it will say error on line 14 of F0. Then it will say error on line 7 of HW5 prob 1. Okay, it has the full trace. On line number 7 of HW5 prob 1, you have called F0. On line 14 of F0, you have called my fun. In line 4 of my fun, you found that error. So the error is in line 4 of my fun, which was called by line 14 of F0, which was in turn called by line 7 of HW5 prob 1. Okay, so the error could either be in line 4 or up to between line 1 to line 4 of my fun, or it could even be on line 7 of HW5 prob 1. Okay, that's why MATLAB gives you the full trace. So it could either be, so you may want to check this and you may want to check this to find out where the error is. Okay, that's the reason why MATLAB gives you the full trace for debugging. Okay, I hope that is clear. Anonymous functions was not in the scope in 2016. It's very much in the scope right now. This example that I told you, this is anonymous function. Okay, anonymous functions were introduced in 2012. They started getting popular in 2015. This course was first given in 2016. So a lot of colleges, especially for PG students, in their research, they were not really using anonymous functions. So that's why I stayed away from anonymous function. But you have already used anonymous functions without realizing it in your code. Okay, so let's say we want to give a function. So find x such that f of x equal to x square minus 1 equal to 0. Okay, how have I showed this in class? I have said this as function f val equal to my fun x okay, and we call xsol is f0 at x okay. This is how I think we've called f0, right? So this is how we have done it in the class. Instead of that, we can have this as okay. This will also do the same thing. Okay. This is anonymous function. Okay. Anonymous function was a terminology that was used 5 years back. That terminology is not really in use anymore. So if I have said in the videos that or in any of the material that says anonymous function is out of scope of syllabus, forget about it. Anonymous function is something that you have already probably used, and it's very much in the scope of syllabus. Okay. In our final paper, of course, there won't be 8 questions. There are 8 type of questions, Ishika. As I said, I mean, I won't tell you exactly how many questions there are, but I can tell you one thing, that the number of questions are appropriate for the time that is given to you. Okay, so I expect you'll take anywhere approximately 2 to 2.5 hours in order to solve the question paper. So first is MCQ type of questions, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 3, maybe 4. Next, MSQ type of questions, similar number of questions. There'll be 5 to 10 objective type of questions, numerical. There'll be 5 match the following questions. There'll be a few more objective type of questions, of a handful of write a single line of code, and 3 or 4 or 5 find the error type of questions. Okay, so that's the approximate pattern. I mean, I know the exact numbers, but exact number change from year to year. Though they don't change in different sessions of exams, because I need to give consistent exams in both sessions. But the number of questions and so on, I do change them year to year. So if a particular question tends to become a little bit tougher than previous year, I may reduce the number of questions of that type. So that is how it works. Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't be unfortunately telling you the exact number of questions, but yeah, you have an approximate idea. Okay, so in week 6 you have plotted plot x. How to plot for 3 means. Week 6, so Rizwan, I kind of took a shortcut, if I can call it that. So Rizwan's question is, in week 6, I have plotted f can be some function, right? I mean, I can call it as. Okay, so what does this mean? I guess that's the question, right? So what this means is, this is original data. This is interpolated data. So what this will do is, this will make a plot. Say like this. Okay, this is the plot that this does. Okay, now the question was that if we wanted to plot it for a 3 variable problem. Okay, so let's say the problem is a0 plus a1x plus a2x squared. Okay, and this value was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this value was 4. Okay, and I wanted to plot the interpolated value from not interpolated in this particular case, all the values, the curve values from 0 to 4. So what will I do? I can do it x equal to 0 colon 0.1 colon 4 x interior y int is going to be equal to phi1 plus p2 into x int plus phi3 dot square. Okay, and I replace this with x int. I replace this with y int, or I can replace this with 0 to 0.1 to 4, and I can replace this with this entire thing. Okay, yeah, I can very well do that. But again, why complicate things? Keep it simple. Plot x comma y comma b, x int comma y int comma r. That is how I would suggest you do. Okay, I might have used a shortcut over there, because I was recording multiple videos at a time, or I thought this is something that I could show you to show the powerful features of MATLAB. I don't exactly remember why I did that, but it is likely to be one of the two reasons. So I hope that answers Rizwan's question. Gaurav's question, is this level enough for industries? Mostly no. This question is not this level is not exactly enough for industries, but this is enough for you to start learning on your own for whatever is needed for industries. So this is not exactly an introductory course. This is a cusp course in the sense that it is introductory plus intermediates. We are actually taking examples that are semi-real world examples, in the sense that an example that would be usually a 25 variable or a 50 variable example, I've simplified to a 2 or 3 or 4 variable example. So whether it would be useful to in industry, absolutely. Whether you can directly apply the concepts, not really. You will need to work through in order to start applying these things in industry. So yeah, I don't really take up industrial problems in this course, but once you get the concept of using fsolve or ODE45 or ODE15s, which we are going to cover in weeks 7 and 8, you would be equipped to tackle problems of the nature you will see in industry and research, but this does not teach you tools directly. Okay, so yeah, Rizwan, I've all answered that questions. Yeah, so leave LSQ curve fit, Udita, is what I would suggest. And again, I mean, when I made the videos, because I am an expert user in MATLAB, I didn't anticipate that LSQ curve fit could be a bit challenging for students. So therefore, as I said, I don't have LSQ curve fit as used in problems in assignment. I will not have LSQ curve fit type problems asked in exam. Maximum I will do in exam is in MCQ or in match the following, I'll ask you, what does LSQ curve fit do? Which is basically linear or non-linear regression. That's all is what I would ask about LSQ curve fit. As I said, practically also, I don't really prefer to use LSQ curve fit anymore. So neither from practical viewpoint nor from this course viewpoint, I am personally in favor of LSQ curve fit. So we can leave it at that. Shall we have MATLAB access during exam? No, you will not have MATLAB access during exam. And what I mentioned about the exam pattern is something that we have ran for 5 years prior to this. This is the 6th year, and I know for a fact that this is something that works and is able to test students' concepts. Things like spot the error and things like that. You'll really be able to solve them only if you have solved the assignment problems on your own. Some of the MCQs you will be able to solve as long as you have seen the videos. You might be able to solve approximately 20% of the problems. If you have done the assignments, collaboratively, you'll be able to solve another 40% of the problems. If you have done assignment at least quite a bit of it independently, you'll be able to tackle the remaining 40% of the problems. That is how the exam is split. And yeah, we have data from the past 5 years to show that it reasonably works in that manner. Exam is a computer-based exam, yes, with the type of problems that I just described. Does Stack Overflow error? I don't know how to answer the question. Does Stack Overflow error occur in MATLAB? Yes, it occurs in MATLAB. It occurs in MATLAB. Stack Overflow errors do occur in MATLAB. You won't notice it. MATLAB will kind of freeze up on you or silently crash. Stack Overflow errors, there are inbuilt mechanism to catch Stack Overflow errors. So MATLAB is an interpreted language which is very forgiving compared to C, C++ in that. But yes, Stack Overflow errors do happen, and when that happens, MATLAB will crash and it will give a what is known as a core dump, and that core dump will have information that MathWorks engineers will be able to use for debugging purposes. So yes, it happens. It's not at all as common as it is in C++. Last 10 years, maybe 2-3 times I've had errors that might have been of a result of something like Stack Overflow. And no, I will not be able to use the core dump in order to diagnose those type of problems. So I hope that answers the question. Sorry, I don't know if there is a better way to answer that question. How to decide diagonally dominant matrix? Rizwan, that's a good question. How to define diagonally dominant matrix? What you need to do is basically you use the definition to find diagonally dominant matrix, and the definition is not very helpful. So what I've done in the videos is just tell you the tricks that you can use in order to determine whether a system is diagonally dominant or not, or to make it usable. A system that is not diagonally dominant cannot be made diagonally dominant, but it can be made usable. And what you do is you look at A11 element and make sure that A11 element is the largest one in that particular column. If not, you switch with the largest one. Then you look at A22, then you look at A33, and so on. When you look at A22, you only look at rows below it. When you look at A33, you only look at rows below it. And that will ensure that you get in a matrix of the form that gives you the best chance of using the numerical techniques. It does not give you the matrix in a diagonally dominant form. Okay. That's the best answer that I can give you at this stage. Additionally, you may want to look at any numerical methods textbook in order to. So there's a book called Numerical Recipes in C++. You may want to refer to it to get more information about the mathematics behind the diagonal dominance. What I have covered in the course and in my answer is a practical way of using the concepts to solve problems. I have not told you how to determine diagonally dominance. I hope that distinction is clear, and I hope my answer is sufficient for you. No, there will not be long answer type. So yeah, Udita, I can give an answer to that question. There will not be a 3-line, 4-line, 5-line coding type of a problem. No. So last time I hadn't answered that question, but the question paper is prepared, it's signed off, so I can tell you definitely there will not be 3-4 line of code. Maximum is you'll have to write one single line of code. As I said, that's the type of coding problems, and I gave that example just a little while back. Yeah. So this is an example of write a single line of code. So the question for over here is, somebody has written 5 lines of code. You know from your MATLAB course that you can replace this entire thing with a single line of code. And what will that single line of code will be? The answer is this. Okay. Okay. Do you find MATLAB applications in artificial intelligence? Very much so. MATLAB has a couple of toolboxes. I think there is an artificial intelligence toolbox or learning toolbox or machine learning toolbox, and there is a reinforcement learning toolbox. Both of them do this. There's also a global optimization toolbox which uses, for example, genetic algorithm, which some people call it an optimization algorithm, some people call it some type of a machine learning algorithm. So yes, there used to be a neural network toolbox that is now wrapped into artificial intelligence AI toolbox itself. There are data mining toolboxes. There's something called system identification, which is basically a database modeling toolbox. So yes, there are several toolboxes available in MATLAB that can be used in AI type of applications. We are not going to cover any of those in this particular course, but yes, they are available. Okay. In some ways, linear and non-linear regression is used quite a bit in AI. Of course, not in the vanilla form that I teach, but the fundas are not very different than what I teach in this course in week number 6. So yes, short answer to your question, yes, there are toolboxes in MATLAB that do AI and related stuff. Okay. All right, so looks like these are all the questions that you have. Maybe we'll wait for another minute or so to see if there are any more questions. If not, we'll close this session. Okay, so looks like there are no further questions. So thank you everyone for attending this session and engaging with me in this session. And so probably this is the last session. Perhaps you'll have week number 8 that's left, and thereafter you'll have exams. So wish you all the very best for your exams. Do well, keep calm. These are not really tough problems. These are problems that test a particular concept. Sometimes if you get that concept quickly, it will be very simple. Sometimes in the heat of exam, it's sometimes a bit difficult to remember the concept. Don't worry about it. Move on to the next question. Come back and solve that problem later. So yeah, hopefully all of you will do well in the exams. All the best to you, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Thank you. Udita, I'm not an expert in chemistry. I'm a faculty in chemical engineering. Chemical engineering has a lot more math and physics in it than it has chemistry. Engineering is application of applied mathematics and applied physics to solve problems. Chemical engineering is application of maths and physical processes and physical phenomena to solve problems that are chemical in nature. Electrical engineering is the use of same fundas to solve problems of electrical in nature. Civil is of the problems of the nature that are to do with structures, with civil structures, with flows and so on. Mechanical is of mechanical in nature, of flow in nature, and so on. So engineering is a branch of applied physics, and chemical engineering is where applied physics meets applied chemistry and industrial chemistry. So yeah, that's what engineering is. A whole bunch of my research is mathematical in nature. My own PhD was in reinforcement learning. So yeah, we do a lot of math in chemical engineering departments. And in fact, there's a whole lot of math that happens in chemistry departments also. So yeah. Including, of course, experiments and chemistry stuff as well. So it's an amalgamation of all of it. Okay. So all right. So with that note, we'll come to the end of this session. Thanks everyone, and all the best for your exams.